I hope that my sister Masani can stay on a little bit longer than she was scheduled to stay. She's on, and I'm very happy to welcome her to the space. I'll tell you a little bit about her before she comes on. At some point, I was going to interview Masani Montague because I've heard so much about her, and over the years, a lot of the events that we do here at Irie FM, and we try to get some of the artists and say, no man, Sister Masani having something in Canada. We try and come back, but we're not sure we can come back. Luciana, you may talk, Luciano. All right, so Luciano is one, and many others over the years who have said to us, no man, Sister Masani, we have to go up So Masani Montague is a playwright, she's a director, she's a journalist, a novelist, and a researcher. She has written, directed, and produced several radio plays, stage plays, and music videos. You must have seen them around. She has directed music videos such as Silhouette, Serious Judgment, Shoeshine, Up on Eglinton, and Danger to the Public. She has produced and directed dramas such as Youth Against Violence, Cyclo-Violence, and It Is Not All Right. My sister is a journalist, as I told you. She holds a diploma in journalism from Homburg College and 2 degrees from York University, BA Honors in Creative Writing, and MES degree in Environmental Studies. She's currently completing her master's in education. You can correct me if that's true, Masani, at York University. She owns and operates Masani Productions since 1980. And Masani Productions is what we're telling you that we come up against all the time. But good competition. The company promotes, produces, and distributes books, films, videos, and records. Since 1993, she has been the director and producer of the annual music event Rastafest Reggae Festival and Sister Fest since 1996. She has coordinated the Rastafari International Conference held in Toronto in 1982 and coordinated the second International Rastafari Conference held in Jamaica in 1983. She received the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal in 2013 and the Order of York Centre Award in 2015. She's joining me live online. She's also, check us out on YouTube and Facebook. You can see Sister Masani because we're streaming live. Masani, my sister, how you doing?
Give thanks for that introduction and give thanks for the overview that you were talking about being in World War III. And I agree with you, we are in World War III.
We are, my sister, we are. And I hope you can come back and we have a further conversation on that when you have more time.
Yes.
Because this is, I think we have to look at and analyze things through our own lenses and our own understanding and our own ability to deep think as the ancients did. And we not depend upon what I tell you, we're looking with our third eye. You're in Jamaica right now, my sister. What are you doing in Jamaica? Tell us about why you're here now.
I'm in Jamaica now, but I come here I live in Toronto since 1974.
Yes.
But every so often we come down 2-3 times a year, right? So this time around, though, we do something called a Rastafari showcase in Jamaica for the last 8 years. What does that mean is that we showcase Canadian artists in Jamaica, funded through factors through the Canadian government. So with these Canadian artists to perform at various events. For example, they were at Bad Friday. Today we're going to be in Portland performing. Tomorrow is a big day. And that's our anniversary, and when we celebrate Masani Production 46th anniversary
46.
And Rastafari 33 anniversary. And Kabu, why I keep on stressing the numbers is because to focus on something for 46 years a long time,
yes,
right?
Yes.
To focus on something for 33 is a long time. Mm-hmm. I didn't do it by myself, obviously, but I'm the lead in these 2 areas, right? And when I did journalism in 1977, I was told by the white coordinator that blacks do not graduate from journalism. Mm-hmm. I was told that I'm not going to graduate. Remember, that's like 19 years or something like that.
What year was that? What year was that?
This would have been 1977.
Wow.
So I did journalism from 1977 to 1980.
Yes.
And the first year of my program in 1977, the white coordinator said blacks do not graduate from journalism. Back then, journalism was very prestigious. Nobody's a journalist. If you take a camera, you're a journalist.
Of course,
But back in
you have a
the
phone,
70s,
you're a journalist.
yeah.
And we
But back
welcome this
then,
new journalism too. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
yeah, so
Yes.
back then you go to school, you get trained properly. So I'm
Yeah.
from the old school.
Yeah.
So when I was told that I was gonna go to grad because I'm black, I said, you know what? I'm gonna create my own company and hire somebody looking like me, black Rasta woman or Rasta brethren. That's why Masani production was created.
Yes.
So I put my journalism experience and training into mass media, and Masani production now is a reality 46
Wow.
years later. So
And
that's
it's such,
Masani.
and Masani Production is such a powerhouse, because as I said before, I know that at some point you and me, we were going to have a conversation because, because we intersect, across all that we do. But I think this is the first time I'm having a conversation with you. Masani Productions, have been aware of this, and I think all of Jamaica, all of the Pan-African, Rastafari, African conscious, and just cultural and even not so cultural world know about Masani Productions and the work that you do globally. So congratulations on that. Another thing that you've been working on, along with the RMO and Sister Karida and the team, I know, is looking out and for Rastafari care, especially generally, but especially in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. You've done a few things already. I want you to talk me through those and what are the additional work that is being done and what is needed.
Okay, so I belong to. Okay, so I own Studio M. Studio M is a multimedia studio in an area called Little Jamaica. So when hurricane hit last year, we used our event because we always using our event to do good cause, right? Even Rastafest, we doing Rastafest, we'll raise canned goods and donate to the food bank, for example, or we do whatever, because we do good events, we get a good crowd, and what we do is say, how can we help? So when Melissa hit last year, we did 3 fundraising activities through our Little Jamaica night market. Little Jamaica is the area that we're located, right? That area. So when we're raising all this, I say, no, I gotta do something for the Rasta community because what we was raising was really for the general population, right? So we raised the donation, we sent it to the Jamaica Canadian Association in Toronto. But this time around, I said, I gotta do something for the Rasta community using Rastafest. Rastafest is 33 years old. It's a free festival. It's sponsored in part by the Canadian government and Masani Production because Masani Production, we still have to finance it 33 years later. So I said, I wanted to do something for the Rasta community in Jamaica because I realized that the help was not trickling down to the Rasta community. So I reached out to RMO, and when they were doing their Webathon, the Triple R Webathon,
Yes.
Student M was one of the media organization that had promoted it. So it's a continuation of what we did when we did a Webathon with them. Now on a bigger scale, we say, okay, so Rastafari is coming in August 14, 15, and 16. We know we're gonna get a big crowd because we usually do. Last year we had Leroy. Last year we had Johnny Clark and Muta Baruka. The year before we had Leroy Simmons. So we're going with foundation artists.
Yes.
So I said, how can we use Rastafari's big crowd to generate revenue for the Rasta community in Jamaica? And here come the Triple R, with RMO, good partnership, good collaboration. Now we're encouraging ones now during the festival and before the festival to go to the GoFundMe at the Instagram page of RMO and start donating. And I want to say this thing, Rasta, we're not beggars. We don't beg people nothing.
I know that I was talking about that just earlier.
We're not beggars.
Yes, I had that trouble. I call it trouble, but I had that fight and tug of war with Junior Manning, Isa J, in the early days of the Coral Gardens, when we're talking about Coral Gardens, the Coral Gardens massacre, to say, no, it's not begging. Reparations is not begging. So there are some cases that we have to draw the line to say, this is what we need to do and this is what we're due. And so that I hear you mention the GoFundMe page. So I want you to go back to that because I know you're referencing the not begging in relation to the GoFundMe page. Tell us about why the GoFundMe, where it is, and we understand it is not begging, but we understand that we are in a critical time. Not just Rastafari, but so many Jamaicans have suffered great loss during Hurricane Melissa and are still struggling to just find your footing. And I think this is the GoFundMe page is also related to that. So tell us about that.
Well, I know the GoFundMe was set up by RMO. It's on the Instagram page. What we are doing as Rastafest, because we're on the Rastafest to the side of things. One, we're promoting the initiative, the Triple R the initiative, and two, we're using our platform, which is a festival, to draw awareness to what's happening in Jamaica with the elders. Because remember now, we're giving something to the community. We're giving a free festival.
Yeah.
So we're giving you a free festival. You're gonna come and have a good time. In the daytime we have ITAL food first. You're gonna come and get ITAL food for free. You're gonna learn how to make ITAL food in the other night. You're gonna have concert. So if you're giving all these things for free, the Rastafest family have no problem, donating some money in return. The Rastafest family has no problem even bringing goods in return for children and elders. They have no problem with that. So we do every year, regardless of what, regardless of hurricane.
Yes.
Can we do
Okay.
it no matter what?
Oh, Rastafest.
Yes.
So these are, we're talking about two different things now, and two different GoFundMe. I think I maybe convoluted both. That there are two different GoFundMe pages.
No, it's one GoFundMe page. We don't have a GoFundMe page. No, we don't have a GoFundMe page. We are collaborate with RMO and their GoFundMe initiative.
All right, totally understand that now. Do you know where can we find the RMO GoFundMe initiative?
Instagram. Everything is on Instagram.
Okay.
Sister Karina next text me. I said, remember now the Instagram page. So it's on the Instagram page. Everything is on the RMO Instagram page.
So RMO IG page.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
all right.
exactly.
So a little bit more about Rastafest now, because as you said earlier, you're talking about initiatives of 46 years, 33 years. I mean, Irie FM is 35 years old. So when you think about it, one was 2 years into Irie, and the other one was almost 15 years before Irie, if you ask me. So you're talking, I understand the commitment, the persistent, that must have gone into this to bring it to where it is, 46 years. I mean, that's not a chicken business. So talk to us about the Rastafest itself, both what you're going to be doing here in Jamaica and then what's coming up in August.
Okay, so what we're doing tomorrow, April 6th, we always celebrate Masani production of my Earth Day. So tomorrow is actually my Earth Day.
Well, happy solar return to you, my sister. Wow. Yeah.
So tomorrow is actually my gift thanks.
Yes.
So I usually celebrate my company's birthday on my Earth Day, right?
Yes.
It is April 6th, no matter when it falls, because sometimes it falls during the Easter weekend, sometimes before Easter, after Easter, but it's always April 6th.
Right.
So tomorrow is my Earth Day. Celebrating my company's achievement in the 46 years, and I keep on remembering the white man telling me I'm not going to graduate as a journalist because I'm black. So I think when you have that kind of motivation, to say, oh yeah, I'm going to prove you wrong. And within the 46 years, we're going through a lot of trials and tribulations. But now where we are now, we have a lot of young people that are amongst us. As a matter of fact, we have some people right here in Jamaica. 15 of us came down. We came to the Rastafari showcase, as I was mentioning before.
Right.
So 7 artists came down, and we have a production team, and we also have a band. So in total, about 15 Canadian and musicians came down with me. Once a year we do this. Mm-hmm. Now, why I'm mentioning this is that these artists, this program are funded through the Canadian government factor. Now we get funding, we get in part funding because it's never full funded. Yes. It's always partial funded. The other part comes from Masani production because we are committed to, as I said, to showcase Canadian artists and Jamaican artists. So it's a cultural exchange between both countries. Mm-hmm. So we have Jamaican artists coming up to Rastafest, Canadian artists come down to promote themselves, right? Yes. That's the company side. We also produce, because we have a recording studio in Toronto. Mm-hmm. So we're producing albums now, we're managing artists, we have a booking agent, we also do video, and we're doing a movie. Now, earlier you mentioned me being a playwright. I have two novels, Dread Culture and Toshiba with Love. Toshiba with Love is a Rasta love story. Dread Culture is a combination of my three plays of what is happening in Toronto from the 70s to the present. I'm adapting these two novels right now to film. So we're moving now that Rastafari is on its own, doing its thing, we're moving into the film section of the company now, which is where I love it because I'm more a playwright, director, producer.
Yes.
So now that Rastafari has been established 33 years. I call Rastafari a giant because that's a big one. That's the one that draws all my resources, all my attention. Now that I have young people involved and running it, and I say running it, my daughter Jem, she's 26 years old. She has young people. They say, Mom, they'll say, Masani, it's our time now.
Yes.
And I think the problem, Kabu, is that we do not pass on the baton to the young people. And I have to stress that it's important to pass on the baton because you know what, the young people, they have the energy, they have the drive. We have the wisdom, but they have the energy and the drive.
Masani.
So at Rastafari, you see a lot of young people, and they're all paid. I put them on payroll, and I employ them for the summer, and I say run with it.
I applaud you for that.
Yes,
I have been having a conversation. Just remember what you're about to say. I was having a conversation with my husband just 2 days ago. And it was just upon reflection, looking at where we have come and how we have come as a nation. And, over the years, this is a conversation we have had in this space, right? About passing on, as you said, the baton to the youth and to ensure that there's continuity in whether it is the struggle, the fight for liberation, independence, or just to be part of that which is going to get us fully independent and fully liberated. And I'm very concerned about the Rastafari in terms of the youth, how the youth are engaging with Rastafari. So I came up through this whole thing in the 1990s, right, where there was this conversation started, but at the same time you had a lot of young people driven by the music in particular, because those were the early days when Capleton and them talking, everybody was saying in the reggae music, and that to me we saw a peak, if you will, in the youth membership or movement of Rastafari. So just looking through my critical eyes, as usual, deep thinking, I am not necessarily seeing that right now. And it's not just with Rastafari. It is with a lot of the cultural spaces in which we engage with, that our children, the millennials, if you will, we're using those terms just for sake of the argument, and the Gen Zs seem to be stepping away. And I want you to give me your own personal perspective on the extent to which our young people are moving away from the principles, if you will, the ideas, the ideology of Rastafari, of African-centeredness into something else. Is this a permanent thing as far as you're seeing, or is this just another cycle?
It's a very good question, a very loaded question, and I tell you why. When we enter Rastafari, when I went to Rastafari in the 70s, I landed in Toronto in 1974, a teenager, maybe 16 years old. 1 week in Toronto, I was downtown with a placard demonstrating at 16 years old. Wow. You don't have 16-year-old demonstrating right now about injustices. Why was I demonstrating at 16 years old in Toronto? Because a white man killed a black youth. He said the first black person he's gonna kill. And he killed a 16-year-old black youth. This was my first, remember I said just land in Toronto, that's the first half of the boat, So there I was, September 12, 1974, land in Toronto. 1 week later, I was downtown, my placard demonstrating.
That is some serious activism.
But you know why? Because all the school kids, a handful of black kids in my high school were downtown demonstrators. I went with them. You know what I'm saying? That was my introduction to activism in Toronto in the black community. So the difference though between that in 1974 to now is that black youth are more focusing on I should say black youth are more focusing on becoming millionaires through social media. You have a handful that's there. So the community work, the volunteer work, all those things that we did back in the 70s, youth are not interested in that. I have young people that we hire for the summer. As soon as the paycheck is finished, they're not sticking around. They're there for the paycheck. You understand what I'm saying? So the difference between youth and back then, in the 70s, and now, is all about making the money. And I guess I understand where they're coming from. Because let's be real, they see the elders, like people like me and other people struggling. I say, Mom, we don't want to struggle like you. We're not going to pay no sacrifice like you. We're not going to do none of that. They see what we're doing, and in their mind, we failed them. Because they don't see there's a financial gain. And they figure that, why would you be doing stuff for 45 years and not making no money? You should be doing, you should be 46 years and not making the money. You're doing an event for 33 years and not making the money. Why are you doing it? I've heard that questions all the time.
Can I me too, and I totally get the point you're making. And as you just said, I understand also where the youth are coming from, how we use the tools. There's a young brother out of the UK who's using TikTok to just carry speeches from Mwalimu Marcus Messiah Garvey. And I thought, we need so many more of these youths who can use a tool for that. But I do understand the point you're making. I'm seeing it myself. As a matter of fact, it was so frightening to me 2 years ago that I came in this space and called for a ban on TikTok in Jamaica until we sort ourselves out because of where that was carrying our young people. But let me ask you, how do we reach our young people? I'm going to put this not just with Rastafari, because we see this, my mother's a Christian. I hear her talk about this very same thing in the church, right? So it seems that young people are going in a direction away from, as my father would call it, the old landmark. Rastafari is also experiencing that. But how do we possibly reach our young people? Because when we look, for example, at the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, the house has been on rest for on a rest, so that people don't misunderstand what I'm saying, for the last, since the 1980s, right? 1980 something. And all they have are financial meetings. So that and the 12 tribes of Israel represented a space where young people used to find a way, a doorway, a pathway into Rastafari in a serious way. So there is that. Then we have all the other mansions that when you go into the other mansions and you look, when you participate in the events, the elders are there and they're holding this thing together, but the youths are not there. What is it that is keeping them away, and how do we appeal to them, even in this age of digital technology going into artificial intelligence or anti-intelligence?
What's the thing? We don't even get young people at the Rastafest, That's a fact. And I've heard Masani, boy, you bring too much old artists. You need to bring some younger artists. I hear that all the time, because the Rastafest is a roots and culture festival. It's a foundation, our artists are a foundation artists. I mean, Johnny Clark have been there 3 times, Mighty Diamonds 3 times, Levi Sibyl, Stone, Rebel Africa, all of them. I couldn't name Everton Blend, all of them have been at the Rastafest. So it's a roots and culture festival. So because we don't get young people at the festival. When I say young people now, when I say young, we're talking from, let's say, 21 to maybe 30. That's that age group. So we get the under 21 because they come with their parents. We get the over 30 because they're into the roots and culture. So we get from 30 to like the 70s, 80s. So we don't have that. We have a big gap when it comes to reaching out to young people during the festival, and we acknowledge that. Yes. That it's not just a Rastafest thing or a black thing. No. We're not attracting the young people. Yes. So how we do bring our young? We create employment. As I said before, we create employment. We have a program called Youth Talk. Youth Talk is strictly young people, 25, 26-year-old. We have an internet radio station, studentradio.com. So through our internet
that was the name of my first radio program as a student at JBC Radio Northeast. Yeah, Youth Talk. Yeah.
Youth Talk.
Youth Talk.
Yes. Why UTE Youth?
Yes. Okay. Mine was properly Youth Talk.
Yes. So we're
JBC.
Utah
Yeah,
Patwa. So
JBC
through the
band.
Utah program
Yeah.
now, we have a showcase. So we use, and don't have to be reggae, because you have hip hop, we have Afrobeat, we have all sort of genre.
Right.
So the Rasta Fest is a foundation reggae thing, right?
Yes.
But we have, every month we have events in Toronto, Little Jamaica Night Market, we have the multicultural, Sea Fest coming to Toronto, for example. The games is coming to
Right,
Toronto for
right,
2 weeks.
right,
So during that 2 week, we have a big event happening that we're organizing,
right.
FIFA. We're collaborating, we're getting funding for the city of Toronto. We're having a huge multicultural event. So our
Wow.
thing is not just a Rasta reggae thing,
Yes.
our thing is more community
Yes.
based. So
I
the
think that's
Lisbon, yeah.
I think you have the right strategy, because this is something that we have been struggling with in Jamaica in terms of not just Rastafari but just Pan-Africanism culturally speaking, where young people are not necessarily gravitating to the space anymore. Reggae music too, interestingly enough, even though you have some, you talk about the 30 and over. And because we have new forms of music that the young people have, we don't even know some of them. I think the last one me here was trap. I don't know. I mean, what is there another one after that, Peter? All right, so trap with there now. So and the point I'm making is to go there with them, because as a journalist, and you know that, and a presenter for years, I mean, this is what Irie FM did for many years. We looked at the landscape, saw where people were going, understood that we have to keep the core, which is reggae music and the people of Jamaica, but also understanding where young people were, what was appealing to the youth, and to go there with them and to bring them back to the space. So I think that strategy is excellent. I hope that in the conversations, because we have these celebrations every year for or the observations every year, and many more too, Rastafari observations. And to just go back to Rastafari, is that what happens to the conversations? You were part of the coordinated Second International Rastafari Conference. That's all the way back in 1983. And I'm wondering, out of, if we need more of these, those are talk shops, but I'm not quite sure what come out of them, because we know this with Pan-Africanism generally. Do we need more of these to kind of figure out a strategy which is more centralized, as the Majesty says, organized and centralized, in terms of how we bring our youth back? I heard you clearly, employment as one, but is there also a need for this space to have for Rastafari to come together, to have a conversation, and out of that conversation a strategy for how we go forward?
Well, the thing is, right, we don't just do employment, we also do counseling and reasoning. We use our events to deal with issues such as, for example, mental illness and domestic violence. These are two areas that we decide that we want to focus on. And I mean, there's so much thing to focus on, but we chose those two. So when we do Sister Fest, for example, Sister Fest is my favorite festival, even though Rasta Fest is my biggest festival. Sister Fest is my favorite festival because we always do International Women's Day, and we look at gender-based violence. So so through Sister Fest, we talk about gender-based violence, the workshop around gender-based violence, we draw attention and all that. We also October 10th is World Mental Health Day. October 10th, we do workshops around mental health, mental illness, that kind of stuff. So we touch on a lot of issues, you know what I'm saying? And we use the art to deal with issues. Mental illness is a big one for us. Domestic violence is a big one for us. Youth employment. So, we're creative and I think because of my experience working as a community worker back in the 70s, because I used to work with, in my day job, let's say, when I graduated, I used to work for the UNIA, the Marcus Garvey Association in Toronto back in 81, 82. My day job was work with black prisoners, lifers. I know what to meet a 25-year-old youth serving life. That was my day job.
So I hear the point you're making, Sister Masani, which is to build it out for community. And when you build it out for and create the space for community, that they will come.
Yes.
Yes.
So and because we have a brick and mortar space, Studio M, as I said, we're right smack in the middle of Little Jamaica. So we're in the middle of everything, So and we work with the community as a large, because we're being gentrified. I don't know if you're anybody familiar with Little Jamaica in Toronto, but why it's called Little Jamaica, because in the 70s, Jamaicans went there and developed it. Now you're talking $500,000 condos that nobody can own. It's been gentrified totally. So we're in our fight for survival as a community in Toronto. So Rastafest is within Little Jamaica. Everything we do is within Little Jamaica because we were trying to revitalize the Little Jamaica community, but through the arts, through what we're doing. So we're at a bigger scale. You know, the developers are coming in, taking our space, building up condos, squeezing out black people. We had 200 black businesses. We're down to 50 black business owners now. So we have lost a lot of it. So even to own a black business is very difficult. We're not getting the big loans like other race that calling our name here. They go to the bank, their friends in the bank, they get the loan, the $500,000, $1 million to set up a company. We don't get that kind of opportunity as black business owners. So my fight is not just Rasta, my fight go beyond Rasta, my fight is on the black community.
Yes, I totally hear you. And so it's a leadership at a wider level, or leaderfulness, if you will, at a wider level, which doesn't just focus on the community immediately, but I mean the Rastafari community, but the wider community. I think this is how we should take a leaf over to your book. You know, the model, I think that is that. The question that arise many times in Jamaica is, a comparison, for example, that is made between Rastafari and, say, the 90s Nation of Islam and what they managed to do, what Rastafari hasn't managed to do. But then you look at even the fight just for recognition, for reparations. Rastafari is still fighting for the right for their children to go to school with locks. And even though that right is enshrined, you still have Rastafari, you still have children who can't go, and I'm not going to say Rastafari, but you still have Jamaican children who can't go to school with locks because you have to say you are Rastafari. You know, it's an interesting situation that we have on the island here in Jamaica. Let me move on quickly just to ask you. Oh, it's another break. Can you stay a few minutes? You're way beyond your time.
Speak truth to the people. To identify the enemy is to free the mind. Free the mind of the people. Speak to the mind of the people. Speak truth.
All right, 20 minutes after 7 o'clock, you're inside of the Africa Forum. It is Running Africa, and my very special guest is my sister Masani Montague, a playwright, director, journalist, novelist, and researcher. And if you've been listening to the conversation, you know that she has written, directed, and produced several radio plays, stage plays, music videos, and also written books. They are available, I'm sure, and she'll tell us about that in a little while. Sister Masani, I know you have your ears to the ground when it comes to our people's business. Have you looked at and I know this is taking you by surprise. We didn't tell you we were going to talk to you about it. But what's coming out of St. Kitts in terms of the decision made there by St. Kitts enshrining the Rastafari faith into law. They had gone one step before, which is to make it basic human rights. But now we're hearing that this now is enshrined into law. Have you been looking at that?
Yes, definitely. And I commend the St. Kitts government for that. If you notice, he said that his mother's a Rasta woman.
I heard that. Yes.
And of course, you know, that's commendable, you know. Said, but you know, when we look at Jamaica though, and you know, Jamaica have the oldest Rasta community, let's be real, in the Caribbean, it's still backward. The Jamaican government is still very backward in terms of how Rastafari is treated. You know, I've been coming back to Jamaica from 1977, and you know, so you talk about the Nyabingi, you know, going here, going to there, going to 12 tribe meeting, go to Orthodox. I'm baptized in Orthodox Church in Toronto. You know, so what I'm saying is that I interface with all the houses in different level. Even in Toronto, I do the same thing too.
Yeah.
You know. And I find that even for young, in 2026, you know, youth can't go to school with locks because you have to prove that you're a Rasta. That's so backward, you know. And when you look at and I tell people this, I get more fight from Jamaicans than I get from non-Jamaicans. I get more fight from Rastas than I get from non-Rastas. I think it's an internalization, you know, this whole thing with slavery. You know, we get more fight. I'm talking about my experience.
I totally understand, and I can relate, actually.
Yeah, so when I talk about 46 years of Masani production, 33 years of Rastafari, you're talking uphill battle, you're talking fight, constant fight, even up until this day.
Oh, goodness.
Whether it's from the Rasta community, the reggae community, or the black community, or the Jamaican community. Those are the communities I fit in all in.
We
You know what I'm
simply must
saying?
do better.
So it's not easy. It's not an easy road after so many years. It's easier now, I would say, much easier now, because now I have young people running programs that I created so that I could focus on other areas that I want to create. That's the art. I'm going back to my first love, film and television. We're adapting Upper Eglinton, my book, my novel, to a TV series right now. That's another reason why I'm also in Jamaica too. You know what I'm saying? We're looking, we did a pilot, we're shooting them. Now that we have studio, we have equipment, we have space, we have everything. We say, hey, now we can do movies now, right?
Right.
So that's
where's the movie set? Because I need to come on, Peter. There's a movie set around here that Sister Masani is on, and we have not been there. This is not sounding good. No, but congratulations on that. Wow. Moving to the next level. And it is your book and it's being filmed in Jamaica partly or totally?
All my plays are Jamaican Canadian. All my plays.
Yes.
Like, my Dread Culture, To Ship with Love is 2 novels, 5 plays.
So I know about those, right. And then when are you looking on completing the movie? What do you have a time?
Okay, so we did a pilot for the TV series. I was kind of wrestling between doing a TV series and a one-off movie.
Yes.
But I'm thinking of generational wealth. I'm looking at, again, going back to, why Masani production was created. It was created to employ people in the creative industry, right?
Yes.
So instead of me just doing a one-off movie, which we could have done it a long time ago, I decided to do a TV series, meaning that way people can continue being employed through the creative industry, one, and two, have the story ongoing.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at soap opera like Young and the Restless, people watch it for 40, 50 years.
That's true.
And if somebody can sit down and watch Young and the Restless, not calling no name there, for 40 years.
Yes, no call on him. I mean, I watch it. Don't mix me up. But I know the point you're making. And we sit down and watch some of these K-dramas and Turkish movies that run from here to eternity. So yeah, that thinking, what is it about? Give me a quick idea of.
Well, the big thing right is virtual drama. Let's be real. Everybody hooked on their cell phone.
Yes.
Cell phone. If you were to go into a room right now, if you see 100 people, I guarantee you, of the 100 people, let's say 95 people going to be on their cell phone. True or false?
As a matter of fact, 99.
Okay, so 99 people going to be on their cell phone.
Yes.
So how do you reach people on their cell phone? So they have something called virtual drama. You know who's killing it? The Koreans or the Chinese?
I'm seeing it. As a matter of fact, we were having that discussion with Peter just a few weeks ago, because I'm saying if movies now for Gen Alpha and possibly Gen Zs, really is what you're getting on your cell phone, and one episode is 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, and the entire movie, the entire series can be 15 minutes when you're done.
Yeah. So that's where my head is at. That's where my head is at.
Brilliant. I was just talking about it. I said, this is what we need to do, because this is how we reach them. I need to have another conversation with you, Sister Masani, because I think you have cracked the code as to how we move to the next stage. Because we can, I heard Elon Musk talking about calcification. He was at Davos talking about if we moving into the new world order, moving into the age of artificial intelligence, or anti-intelligence as we call it in this space, that if you do not move, you become calcified, is the word in use, calcification. And I thought about it for a very long time to say, because it is going the way it is going, we can't just allow it to dictate to us. In other words, how do we use this tool to ensure that we are also part of the liberation process, part of our own survival, as opposed to being part of our enslavement? And not just to use, but also to make, to create, as you've used this word so many times since you've been on this morning, creativity, space. I want to thank you so much, Sister Masani. You've come on to talk about many things, and we have talked about a whole lot of things, and I probably don't talk about what we're supposed to talk about, so I'll give you a minute if I leave out anything.
Okay, so I have to stress tomorrow, of course. Tomorrow is our big day. As I said, we have been doing, performances everywhere, but tomorrow is a big day. It's at Victoria Pier, from 3 to 6 o'clock. From 3 to 6, we have workshops. So, the business of the music. Because a lot of time we talk about music, but we don't talk about the business of the music. So we have different organizations coming tomorrow to talk about the business of the music from 3 to 6. And from 6 to 9 is where we have the performances. So we have Canadian artists performing, Jamaican artists performing, with rolling out our programs for Jamaica. Because remember now, we're also based in Jamaica too, believe it or not.
Yes.
Masani Production, I registered the company here from 1980 because I'm so active and busy in Toronto, though it is why the Jamaican army is not as active as it should be. So now that I'm here, now that I'm getting a little bit older, I'm more focused on the Jamaican arm of the company now. So just everything we do in Toronto, we do it down here. Studio production, recording, everything. So tomorrow we're going to roll out our programs.
Yes.
So it's Island Cafe at Victoria Pier, that's Paula's place there. We're supporting what she's doing, she support what we're doing. So tomorrow with the workshops, as I said, from 3 to 6, and then from 6 to 9, the entertainment. So 6 o'clock is when we talk about the programs we're doing, what we're doing for Rastafest in Jamaica, what we're doing Rastafest in Toronto in August, and things like that. So tomorrow is a big day for us, and it's also a celebration of 46 years in the business, of 33 years doing a festival, of us just doing what we do. We have some young people with us tomorrow. You're going to meet our youth team as a youth talk. I couldn't come Jamaica and don't bring our youth team. So we have our youth talk, showcase people down here with us, King Coco and Jem, those are the two lead. And the youth talk thing, and then we also have the artists them. So tomorrow is when we come together and show what we're doing, and then after we leave Jamaica now, then we go back to Toronto now. We started in Sister Fest is end of April at Studio M, and then every month we have an event at the Little Jamaican Night Market. So we're busy. We're busy up until when. Right?
All right.
The other thing I want to quickly squeeze in though is, which is something we have not decided we're going to do, but I think we're going to do it, is Nigeria. We have been invited many times to go to Africa. So for 2 weeks in October, second and third week in October, we were going to collaborate with an organization to reach out to us. They want us to do a Rastafari showcase in Nigeria.
Wow, that sounds really great. And we'd like to tag along with you when you are going into Nigeria. And we're going to check out Rastafest in Canada too. My girlfriend, who you know very well, Elaine Thompson, has always said to me, you don't come into Canada, but I'll come for Rastafest. All right, thank you so much, Sister Masani, as usual. Great work, and thank you so much for gracing us with your presence this morning. It was always going to happen, and here you are. Thank you, my sister. Have a wonderful rest of day, rest of week, rest of time, and we'll try and check out one of the events that you're having.
Okay, give thanks for the support, give thanks for the promotion, and give thanks for having us here on your platform.
Give thanks, Sister Masani Montague. All right,